Alrighty, welcome everyone. I'm Tiabu, and the wait is finally over. Post-Apocalyptic Subs has finally released their subbed version of the first episode of Beastars, with all of the typesetting and stuff that we can expect from the people who brought us Carole and Tuesday last season. Yay! So, a lot of talk has been circling around about this show. This is one of the few shows that was on my radar since it was announced, along with Babylon and No Gun's Life. And I think there was one other thing that I just can't remember right now. It doesn't really matter because Beastars. So we have a series about anthropomorphic animals, apparently in high school, produced by the wonderful Studio Orange, who brought us the equally wonderful Hoseki no Kuni in 2017. They are back at it again with the full CG anime, and we're gonna see how it goes. Different director on staff for this show than there was for Hoseki. Series composition for at least the first couple of episodes is by Toshiya Ono, who was the same as the series composition for Hoseki, for at least the first few episodes. And this is, of course, based off of the extremely well-regarded manga by Itagaki Paru, who I didn't know until yesterday when somebody let me know is the daughter of Itagaki Keisuke, the guy who wrote Baki. Kind of interesting. We've got a manga family here. It's super interesting. Um, I know very little except for the surface things about this show, and I've tried to keep it that way as much as possible. Yeah, so about as blind as I can be going into this. Let's give it a shot. Let's watch it. Let's see what Studio Orange has done in the last couple of years to bring this to life. I'm expecting good things. The bar is kind of high for this, and I don't have any reason to believe it won't be met, just given the general perceived quality of the source material and the general quality of what Studio Orange has put out before. It seems like a match made in heaven, and it seems like it'll probably be pretty good. Let's find out, shall we? I've got the first episode up and ready to go. Again, I am using the post-apocalyptic subs version of this video, the PAS version. So those are the subs I'll be using. And yeah, let's dive into it. I've got the episode up. It is ready to go. It is at 0 seconds. There will be two versions of this reaction video. You can find a picture-in-picture version with the video up there in the description, and a timer-based version up on YouTube. There will be discussion at the end of the timer-based version, not so much on the picture-in-picture version, so mix and match as you see fit to get the content that you want. And if you want to sync up your own copy of the episode with the timer-based version so you can alter volumes and stuff and do whatever, you're more than welcome to do so. Just get it ready because the beep beep timer to count you down is coming right now. Let's go Beastars. Gonna need notes for this, I think. So, instincts of a hunter. That's horror. Gorgeous fluid CG. Jesus. Is this still on twos? Huh. Feels like a misdirect in the making. Okay. Okay. Gorgeous backgrounds to be expected. So we're starting off with a bit of a mystery. Why? Oh. So that would be the main character, I believe. So suspicion falls upon him. This is on one. This is on twos. Listening in, are we? So human body, but gigantic neck. But he's actually a softie, right? Predator. Bear not your fangs, but your heart. Mm. Oh, the split. Who's cut off at the bottom? Regoshi. Or Legoshi. Either. Hmm. Carnivores forbidden. Female herbivore dorm. Oh, we're getting spooky. The way the years go back. Hey, Legoshi. Does he just want to date her? Hmm. So, society grounded in prejudice. He's used to that. Hmm. Hmm. I never got the chance. Tragic. Mm-hmm. Okay. A senpai he admires and envies. Oh, is this the bunny girl? Oh, fuck y'all. That's attempted murder. Fucking assholes. Hmm? So why does everybody shun her? Why? Hmm. Why does everybody treat her like shit? Mm-hmm. Hmm. But I bet she'll be able to become friends with the wolf. Ringleader. Ooh. Jesus. Up yours, bitch. Can we get some outcasts banding together, please? Aw, he's taking up the role. With the stutter. Hmm. So, Louis, the pinnacle of the school, is a fucking asshole. But nobody blinks an eye because he's an herbivore. He doesn't even care if Legosi sees it. No, you stay. Start working. You mean you've decided? Oh, that's cool. Hmm. Oh, jeez. Fuck you. There could be another attack. Long and useful. That's great. Hmm. Hmm. In more ways than one, eh? Is the scene, isn't it? So she'll be attacked by someone else? Hmm. The smell of prey? Or something else? Instinct. Oh, Jesus. The scene. Wow. Looks like it's just the ED. But we'll wait till the end anyway. Okay, pretty cool first episode. Introduce us to characters, introduce us to a world, create a bit of mystery, and the obvious misdirect. It's pretty straightforward and pretty clear that Rogoshi is not responsible for the death of Tem. So I think the most interesting thing here, to me at least, is nothing to do with the production, which is wonderful. It's pretty solid, which is kind of what I expected. As I said, I put the bar pretty high, but it's nothing to do with that. It's actually the writing that's most interesting to me. And more than anything else, just the choice of delivery method for message, and setup for the world, because it's pretty clear just on the surface of it that the animal conflict, the carnivore versus predator dichotomy that's being set up here is really, I mean, it can be an analog for a whole lot of things, but it seems mostly to be an analog for sexuality. Um along with I mean, it really works for a lot of things as a representation of racism, sexism, classism, whatever you want it to be. It's functional, and that's kind of cool and kind of interesting. Um, it's not just let's make these characters animals just because. That's kind of interesting for sure. I mean, the whole predator prey relationship is an interesting thing to cover and attempt to demonstrate through metaphor, because you could very easily say gender relations are a very similar type of thing. Um, hmm. I don't think it's any I don't think it's a coincidence that the two core characters that are being introduced right now are a male carnivore and uh a female herbivore. Nor do I think it's a coincidence that that Rui, the most blatantly evil seeming character at the moment, the one who is haughty and arrogant and actually more of a predator than anyone else, is an herbivore and male. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. I think that's very intentional and interesting. So we see this whole sequence of the running and the horror, and it's great. It's so well directed, I think. Now what I want to see is, yes, so that's on ones because it looks so smooth. So for a lot of these high action, high intensity, speedy scenes, they're doing variable frame rate. Same here, it's animated on ones. But then for a lot of the character moments, and this could just be because of rendering concerns. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It's on threes. Now it's on twos. Now threes. So, some people in my Discord have been discussing this kind of thing, specifically in relation to Hoseki, because Hoseki does similar stuff. CG animation doesn't lend itself very well to being animated with dropped frames or on twos, we would say, or on threes. It doesn't lend itself to it very well. While anime almost thrives on being animated at 12 frames per second and then played at 24, almost every show out there is animated at 12 and played at 4 in 2D animation. And it works in 2D. It doesn't work as well in 3D. And so that makes a lot of these character scenes feel a little bit jerky and a little bit jarring. It makes the CG-ness of the aesthetic super apparent because it's not smooth looking, though it should be smooth looking. And there's really no technical or pragmatic reason to be animating things on twos when they're in CG. The pragmatic reason to do it when they're in 2D is because you have less frames to draw. Simple as that. There's no reason to do that in CG, and so it's kind of a weird holdover of how did GK put it, of conforming to old stylistic standards when they don't apply to a new medium. And I don't think that CG and 2D animation are necessarily the same medium. It's also part of the reason that CG in 2D animation looks funky. It's because it's always framed down to twos to match the 2D elements, which makes sense when you've got them side by side. But in scenes like this, when we have characters speaking, it's a little bit jerky. And see, this is on threes. Two frames or 3 frames of the same thing. 1, 2, 3, next. 2, 3, next. And you can see it when it's in movement. It's jerky. It's weird. Now, that's not bad, necessarily. I think it could be better, though. But it's a decision that's being made, just not one that I necessarily agree with. This whole introductory sequence, however, when it's being animated on ones, I suppose the only practical reason would be decreased render times, but not by much. The fact that we switched to this low light, simple outlines is amazing. So okay, does Tem say the time we spent in class together? He does. Okay. And then where's the scene where we see the whole group discussing stuff? It's before this, isn't it? Who is this? Because I am immediately suspicious of a character that's only portrayed with their head cut off. Oh, it's a big wolf-like, or big cat-like creature. Constantly in the background scenes, but then we never see his face, do we? I'm just gonna skim through at extremely high speed. The subs will get all weird when I do this, but that's okay. I just want to see... We see the face there, but it's cut off here. Yep, that's my first suspicion. 100%. Is this big cat. Still, we're continuously... We never see the eyes of that character. And the silhouette lines up. The silhouette matches. Okay, so here we go. That's interesting. The heavily emotional moments appear to be animated more on ones and twos. See, she's moving around on ones, and now twos. Interesting. And now he's being animated at a variable frame rate. Also interesting. The horror direction is really well done. I think. Misdirected though it may be, it is putting us in her mindset. This is a horrifying predator who's approaching her. The light, the shadow, it all works to that end. And then of course it is the misdirect. He's just being a good friend and giving a note. Makes him instantly likable as an outcast. Same with the rabbit girl. We relate to outcast characters. We relate to people who, and I will say people who don't fit in. That's part of the whole thing of anime, right? I think I've talked about that before. Like when we watch animation, there's more of a disconnect between us and the characters, and paradoxically that allows us to relate to them more. And then there's another layer of that slathered on top of this, which is that not only are they representations of humanoids, but they're representations of anthropomorphic animal humanoids, further distancing us from them. And the fun thing about animation, one of the fun things about animation, one of the reasons that I think personally people who are maybe have a more difficult time relating to other real people become attracted to anime and animation is because there is that difference, because 2D is easier to use as a simplified representation, and then layer on top of that whatever you want it to be or want to believe that it is. It's almost paradoxical. The less real it looks, the more real it can feel. You see this a lot in some of in Yuasa's work, Kaiba, where it's so unreal that you can relate to it, even though it's insanity. And there's a sort of a similar thing going on here in a very different way. It's also nice that they're not trying to go crazy with over animating the fur or the textures. It helps them a lot with making this seem cool. So here we go. His appearance is marked by an increase in frame rate. He's on 2s. And then at one point he was on 1s. It's kind of cool. He's that guy. But it's an act. He's an actor of the highest caliber throughout. I dislike this character immensely. I mean, I like the character, but I dislike the person that it's portraying immensely. And we see what could be engendered as like envy or admiration from Ragoshi, and we sitting here can be like, nah, dude, you're good. You're all good. Don't try to be like him. He's a fucking asshole. Then we switch our gaze over to our bunny, and the question of why is she ostracized by the others gets answered a little bit later, and it seems to be that boys are attracted to her or want to protect her or think that, you know, they should be by her side, something that she didn't ask for, in very much the same way that none of the predators or the carnivores have asked to be characterized in that way, or specifically Legoshi, Regoshi. We'll figure it out eventually. You know, this is something that he's born with. He was born a wolf. What are you gonna do? Do everything you can to act and be as meek and as much of a wallflower as possible, and you're still going to be looked at with fear and dislike by people who fear you because of something you can't control. Sucks. This also comes into the thing I was talking about before with male-female relations, like, and it's interesting that this is being written by a female author. I think that brings a bit of nuance to it. Like, there are plenty of women who look at all men as potential rapists, and there are plenty of men who look at women as inevitable damsels, and they're both fucking wrong. Always. Because people are people, right? So the fear is not necessarily deserved, but it makes sense because it can be deserved. And at the same time, the desire to protect is not necessarily deserved, but it makes sense because it can be deserved. It's instinctual. And the ability, the way that we distance this from human interactions by making it all animals, allows us an avenue to portray such things and demonstrate them in a really interesting way. It's cool. The ideas at play here are the coolest part to me. And again, this is mostly a character introduction episode, and it does a damn good job. As does the choice to begin in media res, which I'm not sure is the way that the manga begins, because I haven't read any of it. I might go and check out the first chapter of the manga just to see how this is adapted. But I'm not going to do that on camera because that'll waste a lot of time. All in all, I think what I want to say is that this was a really strong episode 1, and I'm interested to see where it goes from here. Yeah. Anyway, that's going to be it for me for this episode. I have a feeling that we're going to get more interesting and deeply thematic as we move along, but this was a cool introduction. Cool introduction to a world in a series. Production seems to be on point. I'm interested to see where it goes from here. And that's it. So, Mitiyabu, this Beastars is pretty good. Watch it. That's it. Peace.